First of all, thank you so much for coming and joining this session, and especially on the Friday evening, as Jagdish was talking about. First of all, it's a privilege for me as well as the Reliance Jio leaders that we are having an evening along with the eminent personalities, leadership from the BFSI sector. And according to me, BFSI sector is a sector actually which is the backbone of Indian economy. And our observation when we are engaging with the sector is that this sector is at the forefront of the technology transformation or digital transformation, which is happening across verticals, but especially this sector is at the forefront because this sector is managing the largest number of customers and with a larger, wider portfolio. And I was just thinking that, in this country, and Mr. Kamath was talking about that we are at the inflection point where digital transformation is happening and AI is playing an important role. And we all are experiencing on a day-to-day life that AI is there anywhere and everywhere. Actually. AI is helping us to shop. AI is helping us to read. AI is helping us for entertainment. And I was talking to my daughter actually, and she's saying AI is also there in our washing machine. And AI is there in the washing machine. And one feature which I came to know, and I was wondering, a couple of months back, there was an ad, and the ad was talking about that your washing machine is AI enabled. And I was wondering what AI will do in the washing machine. And I was told last evening that now our washing machine can be set that at what time the washing machine should wash the clothes and get end. Earlier we were thinking that what time the washing machine should start. Now, washing machine can be set that at what time the clothes should be washed. So that when I'm getting up in the morning at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock, the clothes are being washed and ended at that time. That's the power of AI. And obviously when we are engaging with the CIOs of BFSI vertical, the CIOs are saying that AI is helping them for fault detection, they helping them actually in terms of credit underwriting and many other areas. So AI, which was a buzzword a couple of years back, now we are experiencing that it is part and parcel of our day-to-day operations, irrespective of whatever sector which we are belonging to. And one of the discussion, which we would like to have today is that AI is only limited to customer care, or AI is also helping us, much more than the customer care only. And I feel that, we are very privileged that we have got two seasoned leaders, from Reliance Industries are there with us. So we have Kiran Thomas, KT, he is the CEO of Jio Platform and has got, 3 decades plus experience. Plus we also have our Anish Shah, Anish Bhai, who's also having a close to 3 decades plus experience. So Anish Shah is the President and COO of Jio Platform, as well as, he is having an added responsibility. I'm quite surprised at how he's managing those responsibilities, but he's having an added responsibilities of Chief Technology and Information Officer for Reliance Industries also. So both put together, you have got close to 6 decades plus experience. And generally my observation and experience is actually they don't come alone. If you want to hear both of them, actually you have to hear both of them together. And that togetherness brings that 6 decades plus experience. So I thought actually it's a good experience to have both of them together. And I would like to, understand from both of you, because both of you are doing a lot of work in the AI front. And instead of, taking the AI to the customer, the kind of work which you are doing, where you are leveraging AI platforms for our internal usage. And AI is obviously transforming, and especially since we have a BFSI sector. I just want to understand, KD, from you that what is that 10x opportunity, which you keep talking about, especially for the BFSI sector?
No, that's great. Again, thank you and great to meet all of you. I want to pick up on that 10x idea that you started with. I think even as recently as when we started Jio, it's not recent, it's almost a decade now, in 2016. The mantra was 10x. Right? How do we deliver 10x value, right. 10x experience, and do things with 10x speed?
Right.
Because these are the 3 dimensions that every business wants to do. And at the time, the answer was a lot of automation. And which is kind of, you also alluded. I mean, certainly the BFSI industry has also been on the forefront of automating things. If you look at India Stack, that's also automated a lot of things, made it very, very easy. Mr. Kamath spoke about the whole straight-through experience.
Right.
So all of those were inspiration points. And I think as a society, as an industry, we have done tremendous things with automation. But I would say that looking forward, and although AI has been a word for many, many decades, people have been throwing around. But really, in the last 2 years, I would say after the ChatGPT moment is really when what you can call as really powerful AI, Gen AI, has become a tool in the hands of people. And I would say from automation, the big 10x that we are seeing is increased agility, I would say increased augmentation, and what I would call increased aligned autonomy. And I'll just explain what each of these are. So agility is typically what you want to do as you redefine your business, whether it is strategic decision making, whether it's policy formulation, product development, IT work, knowledge work. All of that is agility because you build something, put it out there, learn, adapt, that cycle. That cycle has become tremendously accelerated. What used to take consultants weeks and if not months, now with deep research available from pretty much every system.
Right.
You get a research report in a few minutes, which is like the world's knowledge at your fingertips.
Right.
If you are building a system, coding is now in the hands of, now tools. AI can really, accelerate coding.
Right.
Same thing with data analysis. Same thing with coming up with a new process idea, the creative domain, because the entire power is there. So that agile cycle is becoming very, very fast. People used to talk about month sprints, 2-week sprints. Today, I think it is not far away when you can think about concept to production in maybe 24 hours.
Right.
It is not too far away, right?
Right.
So that's agility. Augmentation is what happens in, I would say, in operations, right? Because every frontline person who is either serving a customer or doing some operations, how can AI become a companion to that person, right? So that they are making world-class decisions. Not everybody has the same experience, same IQ, but with an AI companion, you are able to make real-time decisions or real-time actions, which is equal to expert level. Right. So that is the augmentation part of it. And eventually, how do you scale all this, right? That is where I would say aligned autonomy comes in. I think as a joke, I think Jagdish started with this example of, this old lady who got access to voice and she could do voice banking.
Right.
Somewhere, that voice got translated to mobile first, app first,
right,
where we went away from voice and now we are actually coming back to voice. If you see, we can see the world where AI will become the new UI.
Right.
What we used to call UI now will, you can actually talk to AI. So that part of it, and what Kamath sir said about the n equal to 1,
right,
which means how can we become a personalized companion even to our customers, right? So those are the big themes actually what I'm seeing, and all of this I would say not just 10x, but each of these themes by itself can be a 10x.
Right.
So we are talking about a 100x, 1000x economy actually,
right,
in terms of where we are headed. So that's what at least I see happening all around us.
And Anish bhai, actually we are hearing actually agentic AI. Actually, I think everybody is talking about agentic AI, and I was explaining in the beginning that is AI limited to customer care, or are we going beyond customer care actually? Because most of the use cases actually, and whenever I read any article or whenever I am engaging with any of the CIO, everybody is trying to focus that how can I improve my customer care part through AI. So is AI is getting developed only for customer care, or actually there is something more and beyond customer care also is going to come, or it's already there?
First of all, thank you to meet a lot of leaders here. And we had not coordinated for the same t-shirt. But just to make this point, I think everybody starts with things which are easy to achieve and things where they believe that, they would like to leverage some of these solutions, and they see an impact if they can do it for customers first, because that's more visible, that's acceptable. But I think that's not the only thing. I'm sure everybody is aware, and I don't think we need to talk about what is agentic AI, but I think we have to really understand how we have to go about in doing it.
Right.
And very straightforward is that, you have to start looking at your own technology architecture. I think it was said even by Kamath sir, Deepak Kumarji, that, when you are looking at technology, you have to look at how you are going to make this technology embedded along with AI.
Right.
So first of all, I think you have to start thinking AI as your digital teammate.
Right.
It's like go beyond chat GPT and chat interface to where you can actually start creating workflows.
Right.
Let your APIs become your KPIs. Like AI become your UI, APIs become your KPIs.
Right.
So start identifying all your components within your technology architecture and how you can start embedding that with AI. The moment you start doing it, you will start seeing a lot of workflows, internal workflows which are required to run your business processes. They will start getting automatically smarter, intelligent. And, automation, I think, is fine. But like what you were saying, it starts becoming autonomy.
Right.
Now, a lot of things which you are trying to write through code is no more required, which means a lot of decision making can happen at the point of execution.
Right.
Where you don't need analytics to do a sort of analysis subsequently. You have to do it at the time of execution. And that's the real-time power you can get it. So certainly, I think the answer is, it is no more just chat GPT or chatting the interface or creating it for customer care. We have started using internally, and I'm sure a lot of leaders here would be already experimenting a lot of work, especially how they can start doing things in their internal work processes. Software development per se is now changing. Nobody is, I don't think anybody will not be using Cursor. They will be using Cursor, Windsurf, any of these tools, because those tools will ensure that your entire software development lifecycle itself changes.
Right.
But beyond that, if you look at all your business processes, whether it is your core banking activities, whether it is your retail banking, whether it is front-end apps, a lot of these things will start seeing AI getting embedded into it. And for that, of course, you will have to take each component and integrate it. But certainly it is beyond customer care. Customer care is probably only a teaser for people to get a feel of.
Right.
But a lot of things will happen. Example, like you said, your washing machine.
Right.
So it will happen.
Yeah. No, I think what I'm hearing is AI is new UI, and you are saying that
API is new KPI.
KPI. So Kiran, actually, coming back to you, that if API is a new KPI, I'm just also learning this statement, and if we have to achieve our KPIs, and you're talking about, Anish bhai is also talking about a lot of AI stuff. So generally, BFSI sector, as well as, according to me, even in the telecom space also, and many large businesses, where you have a legacy, because you have a legacy ecosystem and the businesses are quite large. Now, how do we execute? Because at the end of the day, innovation is happening, but innovation needs to be implemented and executed also in a right manner, actually. So how do we, keeping in mind that there is a legacy ecosystem, and execute and implement such, the new tools related to AI?
Yeah, I think unlike most other digital transformation that we have seen in the past, one thing that we are observing is that, AI is actually able to meet technology where it is, right? Earlier, you had to do a lot of work to bring technology to where we wanted things to happen.
Right.
So I would say we are in the age of not replacing, but more like wrapping things, right? If you take the recent developments on MCP, which is a model context protocol thing,
right,
where pretty much any digital system can be very easily, you can put a wrapper over it,
right?
If it has a interface, the API part of it,
right,
you can put a wrapper over it and make it accessible to an AI,
right?
Whether it's a development time tool or whether it's an operational system,
right?
You have now an ability to bring AI to whatever the system exists through some of these protocols.
Right.
If you just see, just in the last few months, you have had tens of thousands of tools,
right,
with an MCP wrapper on top. MCP is becoming the new language for agents. And what is below the MCP is nothing but APIs, the plain old digital APIs.
Right.
And effectively, then you can connect any tool or any AI agent to it. So that's the power that we are living in. And now, even if you have small agents that you have created by connecting it to these underlying systems, now with, again, systems like A2A and other things, you can get compound agent systems.
Right.
I think the best way to think of that is, think of AI like another human.
Right.
So if a human was able to deal with a system, an AI can deal with that system.
Right.
That's a way to think about it.
Right.
And then start using the intelligence and the other power to take advantage of whatever system exists.
Right.
This is not to say that you don't need to automate and improve the underlying systems. Of course, if you improve the underlying systems, it's a tide that lifts all boats.
Right.
But I don't think we have to wait until perfect digitization occurs or everything becomes cloud native or there is absolutely no legacy for us to start thinking about adopting AI.
Right.
So in that sense, I would say that the only legacy thing that can prevent AI adoption is a legacy mindset, I would say. Right? Otherwise, technology can be very easily now adapted to AI much more easily than any of the other waves of technology changes that we have seen in the past.
So should we change the mindset? Like as you're saying that mindset needs to be changed. Should we change the mindset or the technology or both?
I think if you change the mindset, the rest will change automatically.
One area, Anish bhai, actually, since you are interacting with a lot of CIOs externally, internally, because you are engaging with a lot of IT folks actually within the larger group also, as well as, when we are engaging with the customers. So there are few customers, the queries which are coming, especially from the CIO side, is that, especially, the companies like the banks, for example, sector in bank, actually, one of the key challenges is the data privacy. And obviously, a lot of security elements are also there. Now, one of the question which comes up is that when everybody is talking about AI, people are also now talking about LLM models. Now, should I create, if I am the CIO of a bank, should I create my own, build my own LLM, or should I leverage the existing LLMs which are available? So what, according to you, actually, since you are dealing with this kind of a scenario and challenges on a day-to-day basis, what's your recommendation and suggestion on those areas?
I think if you want to drink milk, you don't have to get a cow, for sure. I don't think so anybody would like to create an LLM per se, and I don't think so it makes sense also.
Right.
Certainly, I mean, these are large-scale models where, doing that might not make any sense. But yeah, you need to really get some of these models, and now there are open source models, private models, which you can definitely deploy even in your own data centers or for that matter in a secure manner. I think then what is really required is how do you ensure that the reasoning of that model is interacting with your data?
Right.
And now with protocols like MCP, that is easily doable.
Right.
Without data living out of your data center or your whatever secure environment, the reasoning model can still now work with such as this. LLM is all about reasoning. So reasoning can be done without you taking data out.
Right.
Certainly now you can create secure interfaces. You can create secure pipelines, which will ensure that you are able to bring those reasoning model onto your data to get it done. And then, of course, retrieval, the RAG models, what we call, retrieval augmented generation, is something which can help you to really fine tune that data, to really the reasoning model to understand.
Right.
The data itself using the MCP protocol and then execute that.
Okay.
And that's, I think, pretty transparent, straightforward architecture.
Right.
Very secure.
Right.
So that's very important.
Right.
Data not leaving your space is also important.
Right.
Especially when you have to do a large kind of execution.
Right.
I think that is how one should be doing. And that's how I believe everybody would like to do it, especially in the enterprise space.
Right.
In other spaces, it could be different.
Right.
But in enterprise space, that's the only cookie cutter model which you can just replicate it forever.
Right. So, Kitty, according to you, in the current scheme of things, when we all are dealing with the same problem of data privacy and especially the cyber security, actually, and we are hearing a lot about the cyber security is becoming a challenge. Day-to-day basis, all of us are getting attacks. Leave aside the organization side, we are also getting attacks. We are getting phishing calls, and obviously at an organization level, our experience is that the kind of requirement on DDoS, for example, which anybody and everybody is talking about, that DDoS is a requirement. So which means actually the security is becoming a key challenge. So what, according to you, is the right strategy for a CIO, keeping in mind the current scheme of things when the CIO has to ensure that the data is secured, as well as also has to ensure that there are cyber attacks which are definitely going to happen? What should I do as a CIO? What is the right strategy for me?
Yeah, certainly I can relate to it. Being also a highly regulated and highly targeted industry like telecom, for example. Right. I mean, we operate, I think now the largest mobile telecom anywhere in the world, actually.
Right.
So fully resonates. And you mentioned also data and privacy. I think we have heard this statement a lot that data is a great asset.
Right.
But equally true is that, and the finance and accounting guys will forgive me, but it can also become a liability.
Right.
So you have to know whether it's an asset or a liability. Data is something which is both an asset and a liability, if you have there to ask. right? If you're not careful, of course.
Right.
And part of it is, of course, like you said, requirements, regulations, compliances.
Right.
I think we are held to at least meeting those minimum standards as an industry. Equally, I think BFSI is also true. But I would say that the real trick lies in going beyond meeting compliance norms,
Right.
but having an ability to be confident. How do you build the confidence? More than compliance, how do you build confidence?
Right.
That means, do you have the mechanisms and the systems in place
Right.
where whatever you are designing, you have very strong design review processes in place,
Right.
where you have security by design when you're deploying some solution? Do you have strong, I would say, monitoring systems in place where, if there is a activity going on, you can see it on a dashboard, or now with AI, you can monitor it in real time. If there is some intrusion happening, do you have immediate alerts and triggers? You have systems in place for that.
Right.
When it comes to data, do you have good, I would say, access controls? Do you have federation? Do you have data masking?
Right.
So these are all very practical practices and processes,
Right.
which, if you add it again, security is not a single layer. It is at depth, layer after layer after layer. But if you do it in the right way, then you can confidently say that, at least we are having some, path towards ensuring that security.
Right.
Again, security is a race. I think it is never over.
Right.
Especially the people who are trying to attack and do nefarious things, they also are using technology. So it's an arms race actually.
Right.
But staying on the forefront of what is the situation and having the right processes, technologies and practices in place
Right.
is really I would say the mission for most CIOs, to go from mere compliance to building that confidence that you are building highly secure systems.
Right. And I was hearing Mr. Kamath, actually, when we were having a chat with him, he joined us initially before the session starts. And he was saying that as a CEO of the company, I always thought that how can I be 6 months ahead of these cyber attackers? Because I need to be 6 months ahead, actually. Then only I'll be able to beat them. Otherwise, they'll beat me, actually. So that's the kind of scenario which all of us are dealing with. So I'm just thinking, Anish bhai, that AI is definitely, people are building up tools. You are working a lot on the AI front. KT is working along on a lot of these kind of tools. And obviously, many of the CIOs are in their respective organizations are also building up those tools. But one of the challenge, which all of us are facing is that if the scenario is changing, if there is a transformational change, do we have right talent available, to take care and help us to achieve? Because at the end of the day, for example, both of you will build something, but at the end of the day, you need a larger ecosystem to execute. So how do we solve that problem of bridging that gap of the talent so that a larger ecosystem of talent also understand that how do we execute and help us to execute?
No, I think that's very important because, you are not building technology for the technology. It has to be widespread and it has to be, leveraged at every level.
Right.
I can give one example, like what we have been doing. And this is something which we have learned from our mentor, Mr. JT himself,
Right.
who has, trained us to do a lot of things. The way to do it is, and I think it's very, very simple formula which he has deployed, is that, you need to start rehiring your own people by reskilling them.
Oh.
So you don't have to go and bring it from outside. You just start reskilling them.
Right.
You start giving them challenge, like I think the way Kamaji was saying.
Right.
Just give them that real mindset of saying that this is what we need to do. Of course, give them all the tools and whatever is required for people to do them, but then rehire them with a reskilling so that you don't have to go and bring it from outside. I don't think so. You will just get some AI experts, and that might not solve the problem. That might maybe help you to implement, but not solve the problem.
Right.
So that is, I think, the first thing you need to do. The second thing, which I think even Deepak ji said, you need to create a fusion team, because this, I don't think so. You should make this like a technology problem or a technology project. It cannot work like that. It has to be business led. It has to be a joint where a domain expert is there. You also need a technical guy. You also need a data people who understand data, because this is all about data.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to do AI without having data, it just doesn't work.
Right.
So you need people who understand domain. You know, without the context, it doesn't work. Without the data, it doesn't work. And of course, technology people are there to help you to bridge the whole thing.
Right.
But then creating that fusion team is very important.
Right.
If you don't create that fusion team, it just doesn't, you can't just make it happen.
Right.
Maybe technically you can say, okay, my app is working or my system is working or my AI is working,
Right.
but nobody will use it. So I think that is another thing which we need to do. But this, to me, these are the only ways by which you can do it. Make it something which is available for everybody and it is owned by everybody, especially by the domain business.
Okay.
Then only it will work.
Okay. So last question actually, which is Kitty come in my mind is that obviously, we all are talking about that AI is doing multiple activities. We are building up our own models. You are building up a lot of tools and you are trying to execute and implement a lot of AI related tools. So now I'm just thinking that one, obviously we are doing a lot of stuff internally, but obviously how can we take those products, those solutions to our customers? So what is your advice that what Jio can do for our customers actually on the AI front?
Yeah, so I think, as you know, when we at Reliance, we are taught to look at the whole value chain and make sure that we are able to contribute to every layer of that value chain, because sometimes the weakest link prevents the whole story from happening.
Right.
Like even when we started with our telecom, we had to think about devices, we had to think about content, we had to think about distribution, we had to think about many things in and around the connectivity space to make connectivity happen. Without that, it would not have been
Acquisition of customers.
So automating those steps. So effectively, you have to think about the whole value chain, because if you just look at one piece of it, then the rest of the pieces will slow you down or will not allow you to make that end result happen. So even when we looked at AI, we looked at the whole stack. So everything from infrastructure, where I think even in the AGM statement, chairman has said that we are committed to creating infrastructure for AI. That means hard infrastructure. That is what we do best. We build world-class infrastructure and next generation infrastructure, including cooling, power, everything that it takes to hold GPUs and all of that. Of course, having great partnerships to bring next gen compute to the country, the latest and the best compute to the country. And then the layers on top of it, which is how do we bring the latest open source models, or even have patterns where we can work with even closed source models in a secure way, depending on the use case. So that is that whole model layer. And more importantly is all the frameworks, whether it is agentic, RAG, all of those things, which how do you connect that to your traditional digital estate? To be able to unlock the power of AI in tandem with your existing automation and data assets, and actually make it, transform the space that you're trying to achieve. And across our businesses, the good thing is with JPL, I think in the introduction said that, we are in charge of a lot of these transformation journeys. We have seen all flavors of problems, whether it is something as old as our manufacturing business, something a little bit more recent like our retail business, and of course Jio being the kind of digitally native born company. And of course beyond. I mean, again, we are looking at AI to even bring new services to the market which didn't exist. So we have the whole spectrum, everything from deep legacy to really brand new shining startups that we are doing within the company. And those are very valuable experiences, in addition to, of course, the assets and capabilities that we are building, which of course it is not just for us, but to make it available to all enterprises and all companies, all industry sectors in India. That is the ambition that we have, for sure.
I'll add 2 points to this same question. One is the important part, and again, we do this very well, is we eat our own dog food. Before even we offer to anybody. So I think that is a good experience where we understand, what are the value, where are the things which will work, not work. And I think that is very different from probably other players in the market who might not be using it for their own internal usage, or not at the scale at which and the kind of industries which we do. The other thing which I remember when I had a privilege to meet Kamath Saab in one of the forum, where he said, कि तू SST कर रहा है कि नहीं? तो मैं बोला, sir, what is SST? So he said, it is called Sasta, Secure, Tikau. So I think we also do that.
API is the new KPI, AI is the new UI, SST is there. And actually, I'm just not able to, stop myself. Actually, I also want to give one statement which I keep giving in other forums also, that AI is also, and you must have seen actually in the LinkedIn, there is a rest in peace PowerPoint. These articles are going on. And earlier I used to keep saying by pardoning Mr. Bill Gates that PowerPoint doesn't have a power, it neither has a power nor has a point. But it was very, very successful last many years. But now I have seen that people have started putting in rest in peace the PowerPoint. I think these are the few learnings, obviously on a lighter note, but on a serious note, the lot of learnings actually both from Anish Bhai, you as well as Katie, that AI is definitely is going to help us. But obviously we need to learn how to utilize it, how to execute it by bridging the gap of the talent, as well as bringing the right tools without implementing or without building up your own LLM kind of model, because that's a debate which many of the CIOs are saying, should I build it my own or should I build it for others? Just last, actually, I picked up from Ajay, actually, since Ajay asked a couple of personal questions. Actually, it's not planned, but if you don't mind, I would also like to ask a couple of questions from both of you. So, Katie, who's your favorite cricketer?
Anyway, I grew up playing basketball. But of course, in our lifetime, it has been Sachin.
Okay.
Because we grew up watching him win matches for India. So there are the young guns, of course, these days.
Right.
And that way I'm more biased towards all the players that we have in Mumbai Indians recently.
Right.
But if you ask, there's only one God, that is Sachin.
Okay. Anish bhai, you?
Yeah, same.
Okay. And who's your favorite Bollywood hero?
It's a good question. I would say, again, going back to our good old days, I mean, I again grew up with Amitabh through his angry young man days to the character roles and the versatility of that is amazing. I mean, and again, nothing against, it is just the age that we grew up in, where I think that's the person that we resonate to the most.
Anish bhai?
I like most of it. I mean, Amitabh, Anil Kapoor, Amir Khan, all AKs are good.
The last, a tricky question actually, who's a Bollywood heroine? Famous.
Can I reserve comment?
Anish bhai, what about you?
सब वही है यार, कोई different नहीं है.